So, welcome to the Mindset Monday with Paul De Kock. Paul is how would you describe yourself, Paul? You're both on the wellness journey and the spiritual journey of helping people have a better life experience. And after you had an accident many years ago, you've gone on this quest to find a better way to live, not only in your mind and in your energy, but also in your physical health. So how would you describe yourself, and what's the mission that you're on?
Well, Steve, thanks for having me. Glad to be here. My, how would I describe myself? I am somebody who approaches things from an holistic perspective. I found myself in after that accident. I mean, that happened when I was 16, so that's going on 36 years ago. Um, I joked with you the other day. I said after I had the op in January for the bilateral groin hernia, which they couldn't do laparoscopically because of my scars. I've got 16 scars in total now. I don't want to measure them because they're there. But, I think having that accident changed direction for me. But I still, as a kid, I went through the motions in my 20s, but I knew that I wasn't on the journey I wanted to be on. And I think with these journeys, you change, things change, and you make mistakes, and I've always had this inner calling. It's all I can refer to it as, that there's something I should be doing that's better to help people. And I, in the last 9 years, well, I qualified as an inner life skills coach about 12 years ago. And the inner life skills refers to a lot of work on the inside. You really have to self-reflect on who you are and what you want. And so it's been an ongoing journey for me, that combined with other coaching methodologies and etc. So where does it all lead up to? I think I find myself in a space where at 52, like I look back on the journey for the last 25 years, and it's alchemizing because you're on this journey and there's a lot of rejection. There's a lot of, oh, I want to do this differently. I need to do that differently. There's rejection of self. There's rejection of certain things, and you bring things on board. And then you realize it's all the same thing. I am this person and I am completed into who I am right now because of this journey, not because of anything else. So, what for me is important right now as a coach, I run a company in South Africa. We're a sales agency, and I've always been involved with marketing, well, for the past 24 years of health and wellness products. So I've been in the background, and the brands I have worked with and sold have sold in the millions. I mean, I now have youngsters that I work with. I call them youngsters, they're in their 30s, but I work with them, and they were brought up on some of the products I used to sell. So, and there's always this desire to make the world a better place. But I think there was also a certain amount of lack of confidence that I can do it. I mean, who am I? I'm a little guy from Cape Town. I grew up where, I had all the odds thrown at me. Um, you know, you, being gay in South Africa wasn't always the easiest. There's a huge people would like to say, "Oh, is being gay still a thing?" Yes, it is. I mean, I've seen rejection time after time, and the look on people's faces when you go, "Well, I'm gay." You can just see the minds working, and you don't try and jump to conclusions. But I've seen it firsthand. Um, so with all of those experiences, I feel that who I am now, and please stop me if I'm babbling and try and direct me because there's a lot of thoughts going through my head. who I am now is somebody I particularly like coaching health and wellness entrepreneurs, people who are on this planet to serve others, to serve the greater good. And I'm really drawn to helping them not make the same mistakes I've made, if I can. You know, there's a lot of mistakes I made in being a, sorry, yes, Stephen.
No, I was going to say, I think what you're sharing, because what you're sharing has really resonated with me. And this is this idea that I think this is a universal concept that people have, which is we're trying to erase the categories or the box, right? We're trying to erase the labels because they're so ineffective at describing who we are as a person. And this is where the miscommunication comes in because you can bring in a label and you can say, I am this, but it's only effective for like a short little bit of who you are and who your life is in all of that. And the truth is it doesn't apply most of the time. And so any label is only a label temporarily. And then it's like it works in that case. We're trying to find the simplest way to convey something that has the greatest accuracy, but at the same time, it's not perfect, just like we're not perfect, right?
No.
It's in a so when we're talking about this journey, there's a couple things that really kind of pique my interest. And it's this idea of the holistic side. Yeah, we hear a lot of terms, people talking about the holistic, and I want to open it up to everybody else. So if anybody, I'm going to put it in back to gallery view. If anybody would like to come on camera and jump in, please just raise your hand. But it's this question about, the holistic view. I know that you've taken your health seriously. So is Ken here. And you've decided that okay, this is something that you're going to do intentionally. And just yesterday, I had this conversation with my mom. She was talking about somebody being kind of a jerk, and I kind of I embraced it. I said, I don't decry anybody being a jerk as long as they're a jerk intentionally, right? If they know they're being that way, it's like this is their life, and let them be the way that they want to be. And and also with that, if it bothers you, then no, be intentional for the reason why it bothers you. So you made a choice and said, okay, I want to be healthy in mindset, healthy in physical. Um, what what does that holistic journey mean to you? I mean, how did you embrace that to move forward?
Well, it's had different permutations. And I think the big thing for me was it was always about because I've struggled with pain for the last 25 years. I mean, you get knocked over by a car, it breaks your pelvis, breaks your legs. Well, my left leg in two places, and you spent 2 months in hospital with pins in you and things. That sort of leaves a mark. And so there's pain has always been part of my journey. And there's just so parallel to that, I couldn't do as much as others, but for me, it was a case of do what I can. And before I arrived in Spain, in fact, my journey was going really well. I mean, I spent the last 2 years doing Pilates 3 times a week, plus walking, etc. And then I found myself in Spain during COVID, and something happened, and I was just not doing anything that was good for me. And then last year, sort of, there was things happened, and I wasn't at my best, and I had to shift something, and I couldn't do, and then it led up to me having to have an op, and then I couldn't do anything. But this year, before the op, I did this exercise. You're familiar with Wayne Dyer, and all of them. They do the eulogy exercise, but this is a variation on that, and it just moved me so much that I decided that whatever happens with this op, I need to move forward. Whatever pain I'm experiencing, and on a good note, I went out today down to the coast. I was shopping for crystals. Yes, I like crystals. So I went shopping for crystals, and I did to. I looked at my step count, and I'd done 7,800 steps today, and I had no pain. And I was like, wow. I mean, that's the first for me in a long time because usually I'm And it was just like, what I'm doing is working. So when I got home, I did more weight training, and I did get fit with Rick. He's got a great thing on YouTube, so I can do my walking, etc. So that helps me a lot. And the exercise is a beautiful one. It's lovely. And instead of imagining yourself at, you know, what people will say about you at your funeral, for me, what was so moving about this one is like, imagine yourself on your deathbed and you arrived there as the version of you that you are now. And you're not happy with that version. And just for a moment before you pass on, into the room walks you as your exemplar self, the best version, that version of you that has led its best life. And I say that even now, and it still gives me absolute chills because I thought, I can't do that. I've got this life and I need to just push through everything I need to push through to, if that, when that day comes, I need to be my best version. I need to be able to meet my exemplar self and be that version. And that's really the thing that got me off my butt again this year. And so I'm also a member of Heroic US, and they, Alexander, Brian Johnson's wife, she started a program, 30 Days of Wellness, in February, but it was leading up to February, and I was really exercising a week out of hospital. I mean, I was like, they said to me, I mean, sidetrack, I never faint for much. I'm quite used to pain. But I remember, they give you an epidural for the op, and I woke up and I saw everybody, people were getting up and walking about. I'm like, I'm a big, strong guy. So I didn't feel any pain. And like an hour later, I think I'm going to get up now. And I get up and I didn't get up. They helped me move out of bed to get me in the chair. I'm like, oh my God, what did you guys do to me? And they get me in the chair and I'm sitting there and I say, the nurses walk off. They want to leave me for a moment just to get my equilibrium. I say, sorry, I'm passing. And for the first time ever, I passed out from pain. It was quite amazing. Anyway, came home, a lot of pain, sore, but progressed. I decided to let that motivate me. And yeah, I started the heroic game, be your best physical self and start that journey. And yeah, it's been going on 2 months now, 2.5 months, and I've not let up.
So I want to ask you, so that what you're imagining is you're imagining that yourself, like right today, is going to your deathbed and you're meeting your ideal self. The self that has accomplished. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That's that's a wonderful thing. I know that in the coaching, sometimes when you talk about like the, life's greatest vision and and picturing your funeral, I've seen a lot of people just panic. They picture death and it's like they have a tough time with that concept. And what I love about what you're sharing is this concept that now what would that even be? All right, if you're going to picture your best self, what would that be? And if you can get clarity on that, what a wonderful idea. So if anybody has anything that comes up in this conversation, please share. So can you take us through is there like a formal exercise that you have with envisioning this or um
Well, you want to try it? I can do a little future pacing if you want.
Martha, I think that would be great.
If
Martha said
everybody,
her favorite question that she asks people is, what would you tell your younger self? Right. So it is kind of a version of that, but it's, what would you tell? And this is going even farther. It's going from a state of achievement. What would you tell your current self? So it's projecting into the future, the same question. Yeah. And everybody okay if we jump
everybody,
into an exercise? Yeah, I see. Yeah. Perfect. Go ahead.
okay. So just find yourself comfortable in the space you're in. Make yourself comfortable, however that looks for you. Just ground yourself in the moment. Just make your body comfortable in the space you're in. Slow down your breath. In fact, take a nice deep breath and exhale. And just become present in this moment. And ground yourself. I like to ground myself with a bright beaming light to the core of the earth and shining out into the universe. And as you become present, bring to mind whatever form of transport that you'd like. Something that you could use to take yourself into the future. You know, whether it's a rocket ship or a boat or a magic carpet ride. Just find yourself in that vehicle of choice, going forward to your last moments on this planet. Whether that's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years from now. And as you find yourself in your deathbed, maybe not having lived your best life, and you're thinking about the things you could have done better. And you wonder to yourself, what might life have looked like if I did do these things differently? And in that moment, just before you pass from this mortal coil, into the room comes a version of you, the best version of you, the exemplar version of you, the version of you that has made those choices, that at one point decided that something has to shift, something has to change. And you're looking and experiencing this version of you. And then you pass on. Now, I'd like you to get back in your time travel vehicle of choice and just come back to this moment. It's not supposed to be something scary. It's perhaps something to learn from. Now, take a moment in this moment and just bring to mind for yourself what you experience with this exemplar version of you, this best version of you. And then take a deep breath. And if you're ready, come back to the present moment. How was that for you, Stephen? Are you still there? You okay?
I'm still here. When you mentioned rocket ship, my inner child was just like tickled to death, and it's like, and instantly it put me into a suspension of reality, and and I was full on board. So, this is something that, what a wonderful exercise, because there was no fear, and it almost puts you into a spiritual plane of acceptance, and it puts you in a spiritual plane of realization. And what I noticed is, when you see your best self, your best version of self, to me it was radiant, confident. It's not so much what I did, it was how I was being. It was just embracing life in its fullest. And I think if we can do that, everything else will come, right? It's like it's our own fears that hold us back. It's our own limitations that we self-impose that kind of sabotage our efforts. So I loved it. I'm a fan.
Good.
Anyone else?
Anybody else want to comment on the experience?
I will.
Hi, Francesca.
Hi, thank you for that. That was so lovely. Yeah, it took me a while to figure out who that person was. Uh, it's complicated. So I just focused on like, yeah, very confident, fit. Strangely, mine was very fit. She was a runner. And just like, let's go, let's go. You know, it was nice.
Good. Glad you liked it.
Can I say,
Anything? Yeah, Martha, go for it.
yeah, so when I closed my eyes, I was actually standing in the kitchen and I started breathing as you were speaking. And all I could just think is just love. You know, when you do everything with love, everything just works out.
Mm.
So, oh, I love this. And I want to thank Stephen for inviting me. So I'm glad I'm here. Thank you.
Pleasure. I'm glad you liked it. I found that such a, I've even been doing it now. I got a bit emotional because you're in that space and like when you lose friends and you lose people and you see that they haven't had that opportunity to shift ever or before, they were just on this treadmill. And, the gift of getting a moment where you can be completely present. Yeah. And you can be in that moment. It's quite amazing. Sorry.
It
And
really is. Oh, I'm so sorry, Stephen.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
When I was in that moment, I have to tell you, I'm on this journey that I've called Discovery Journey, and it has not been easy. But what I found on this journey was the love for our community members who are folks that are sleeping on the streets, that are in need of love and affection. And if we could just do that. So as I was here with you present, I said, I know I'm on the right path. And it's all moving with love. Love is really my driving force at this point in my life, not materialistic stuff. It's love.
Martha, that's a lot about, why I call myself an holistic coach and why I choose to work with people who want to make a difference in the world, because to be truly driven from a deeper place means, for me, wanting to make a difference, wanting to help people, bring love and kindness into the world. And, I spoke to some people last year, for example, and these, just, people maybe not realize this, but when you're a corporation, you have a duty to make a profit. So a lot of people think that there's only one type of business you can have. But in fact, there's something called a B Corp, which is basically a corporation with, yeah, profit is one of the things, but the impact they have on society, their staff, the environment, the planet makes as big a difference. And to get that out there for people to realize that they don't have to walk this profit line. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't like money. I mean, I like shopping. I like buying crystals. I like buying Buddhas. So, yeah, I like to have the resources to do that. I like to have money to help other people. There's a lot of people that I help during COVID, now, etc. But you need money for that. But that doesn't mean you can't have an impact like you're talking about. You can't help people. Professor Shirley, please go for it.
Wow, Paul, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. And I feel very emotional about it. I don't know why I'm here. But anyway, I was talking to Steven and I was talking to him about why I'm 48 and I felt like I'm not saying I'm done living, but I feel like what I have to focus on right now is sharing more kindness and love to people. So the same thing about money, not saying that money is not important, but I remember when I created my LinkedIn account, and so far in May, I wanted to kind of talking about English, talking about inclusion in English, and the impact I've been making, everywhere. But so far in November, it's like there's a calling for me to talk about well-being. And I'm like, if someone can tell me what is this, someone in as a holistic coach, you can tell me if there's a name for that. Like I create a lot of posts and then I can't post them. And if it's not about well-being, I'm not a mental health counselor. And this has become like something and then Steven invited me to come to the group and I'm like, what is this about? It's just everything calling me about well-being. I'm sharing well-being at my job. Everything's about well-being. And sure enough, last year, my job made me the only educator to teach well-being to students. And I also now impacted teachers, and I'm not even certified based on the result the parents, the students, they saw. So, after I have my event on LinkedIn, some people come to my DM. It's not too late. You can go and get a certification in it. I'm like, I don't know what is that about. So hearing you talking about that money is not important for me anymore. Yes, I need it. Yeah, I'm doing it, but it's just like something I need to focus on and share with the world. So if you have any answer to that, you can share with me.
I don't know if I have any answers for you. I think if well-being is it encompasses so many things for people. And positive psychology isn't about counseling and mental health. I mean, one of the reasons, well, it's about mental health, but it's not about the other part of it. There's a lot of research in, let's just call it mental unwellness for the sake of this conversation. There's a lot of research into that. I think the last time it was checked, it was like 100 papers are written about mental illness and unwellness for one paper on positive psychology. And I think there are other ways that you can go around learning about wellness that doesn't involve having to get a degree or it, wellness is also just knowing how to speak to people. Wellness is also just understanding people. And Stephen will tell you there's 100 places where for me, like in a life skills coaching, it's coaching. I did do counseling for one reason. Ultimately, when you speak to people and you're coaching them, I think sometimes I've heard people be too blasé and too coachy with people's emotions and not digging deep enough to what's motivating that emotion or that thing they want. Because, if somebody says to you, X in my life is narcissistic, and the question's not, okay, how do you get over this narcissist? For me, the question is this narcissist dangerous to you right now? Or what is the place you're at? You have to be able to ask those questions, and you have to be there for them non-judgmentally and present. So you need to have that experience. But wellness for me is about, the soul, the physical, the mind, and it's about conversations. As Stephen knows, he does Wellness Wednesdays, that group, and that talk. And one of the things there is that you're constantly pushing yourself to learn more about your own self so you can serve others better. And for me, that's what wellness is about. It's if you can dive deep on yourself every day and wanting to be your better version, and you read and learn, you will turn up for others in the best way, if that's your motive. When it comes to money, I was watching something yesterday, and it was a series, and I was observing the questioning the one character had for the other character, and I said to my husband, I said to him, you know what she's doing? She's assuming that he is doing what he's doing for money, Money is because he needs to operate. The reason why he's doing what he's doing is he values people. Money is just something that comes on the side of that. Because we all have to make a living. We all have to exist in this world. So for me, money is not a bad thing. It's an energy, but ultimately it's the values you have that you bring into the world, of course, that makes the difference. Does that help a little bit? Do I answer a little bit there? Stephen,
Yes,
please.
thank
I
you.
wanted to go ahead, Professor Shirley. Did you have something that you wanted to
I
add
was
back?
saying thank you to Paul for the explanation. Yeah, thank you so much.
So to me, it's this idea of normalizing humanity, right? It's normalizing this human experience that we have because we're all going through it. And interestingly enough, it's a lot of times the ones that will put the category on it, it'll give our brain a happy boundary. We start off this conversation about labels and boundaries. It'll create this box in which we can define ourselves to be miserable, but we're still miserable, right? And the key, I think, is helping people realize that yes, you have every justified reason to be miserable, but it's like, okay, let's come up with a unique way to embrace humanity and feel better. I mean, it's something about making that shift. And Ken's here, and he's a world-class athlete. But it's not, training every day is not easy. And it's like you have to go through some of that. You're tearing down your muscles and you're building them back up. And that's something that I think that we go through. It's if you can find the community that can support you along the way, then we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to be credentialed. We are open and honest with one another that we're doing the best that we can and we're trying to help. And then we have that community to support us and a tribe that is alive and thriving is, I'm going to say, it's a force to reckon with, right? If you have a viable tribe, you can do some amazing things. And it's the biggest thing that we can do is when others believe in you as much as more than you believe in yourself, eventually you'll start believing in yourself that much too.
For me, what comes up is there's this REBT doctor who calls himself REBT, which is Rational Emotive Behavioral Therapy, doctor.com, Walter. And what he's on Saturdays as well. And what he talks about, it comes down to this every time. We're all fallible human beings. If you listen to that enough times, you go, well, Professor Shirley is fallible, Stephen's fallible, I'm fallible, Francisca's fallible. We're all just human. And you can be kinder to yourself and you can be kinder to others. It's just, we're all fallible. We all make mistakes.
Here's an interesting thing that came to me, and this is the journey that I went through. There was someone that had some pretty severe trauma from life, and they came to me for some advice on hypnotherapy. And somehow or other, they viewed me as being elevated in my status and my learning, and they were asking my advice as kind of a mentor, to whether they should work with the person that was actually my mentor in life and in hypnotherapy. And I thought that was an interesting comment why they would have this. And I was really trying to help this person because they had gone through some severe trauma. And so I took it to the board of this coaching group that I was in, and this group had doctors on it and other people that were medically inclined. They ejected her. They kicked her out of the group because there wasn't a space for her. And I followed up and I found out that, well, she was also kicked out of the medical system, right? And it really bothered me because I realized it's like, how can you help somebody that's being discarded, because they don't fit the mold and what I found is that we can care, we can love, right? We can be who we are, but it doesn't mean that we have to fix anybody, but we can listen and we can instill within somebody else that there's value there. And I think there's a beautiful gift that comes back, which is once you recognize the value in somebody else, no matter where they're at on their journey, right? No matter how much they've been through everything else, we get the gift of that reflection of energy, of acceptance, of kindness. And it's interesting that you had mentioned kindness because Francesca's here and Martha's here. And I was meeting all of these people that were around kindness, and we're doing the Kindness Summit in November. So this is on my radar of, okay, be on the lookout for kind people. And we started a kindness tribe because I started coming across other people that are kind. Here's my other book that I had. I met Randall McNeely, and he's got the kindness givers formula. He just sent me the book. And Francesca's a kindness advocate, and I added Martha because she's one of the kindest souls I know. I don't want to. I mean, she actually went and was giving more than was healthy for her to give. And she's such a beautiful soul. So it's this idea of people being kind. And Paulette's here. She does also, the Jack and Walter series, and is a kind person as well. So it's interesting that the world has thrown us all into this room at the same moment.
Stephen, Paulette wanted to say something.
Go ahead.
There we are. Sorry, I've got a horrendous cold, so I'll be brief. I just wanted to say that self-belief, without that, you have nothing. So with self-belief plus kindness, you've got everything. So this starts with self-belief, and the self-belief comes from everybody around you rooting for you. And that to me is what you just said. It's about kindness and empathy and love being poured into people. And when you have that, you have everything. You might not have money, but that's not important. It's not important. Money comes. Money comes by just the fact that the universe or God or whoever you believe in will bring that to you. But if you've got self-belief, love and kindness, you're a winner. You're so rich. So that's just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Paulette. Lovely.
I was pulling up the chat. Okay, so does anybody else have anything? Anyone that's been quiet? Francesca, has anything come up for you? Look.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful, Paulette. I just want to say. Yeah, I just I'm in the kindness circle right now, and it's hard. That's why I'm so happy to be here, because we're like soldiers. Every time I feel like I get a step forward, I face like sort of a negative or a block or a belief like, how am I going to make it? And I just thank you. I just need to be reminded that, the universe rewards courage, and this takes courage. So I just appreciate being here and everyone showing up for this, and having a wonderful speaker, and Stephen, all of the work you do to facilitate these kind of programs. Anyway, thank you.
Thanks, Francesca. You know what I heard on the weekend? I was listening to Philosopher's Notes, is that self-awareness is a superpower. And you were saying that you bump into things, but that thing, that the fact that you're bumping into things, for me has become the fact that, I'm actually observing myself, and there's the correction going on. It's like, if you're having a bad moment or a bad space, it doesn't define you. It's what you do with that. And that you're willing to take and shine, like Stephen said in the beginning, will shine the spotlight on you. Like, not all. But when you're willing to shine the spotlight on yourself, and whatever the situation is, it takes courage, like you say, Francisco.
Yeah, and it's the thing that's a little bit of a challenge, and I think that a lot of us go through this, is the struggle is part of our story, and we don't realize that the very thing that we're struggling with is going to be the thing that makes us relatable, that it's going to be the triumph, that we actually realize that, oh my gosh, it was this going through this situation was the thing that allowed me to actually talk about it and to share this with people, because there's so many going through that financial struggle and that whole situation that, it's expensive right now. It's expensive to live. It's expensive to eat. There's so much shifting in this. And I think this is where if we can bring a sense of calm and security to people's in normalizing this human experience, it's like it may give them the hope to realize that something can be different. They don't have to fall into this pit of despair, because life is painful. We are fragile, and it is a struggle. But there's also beauty that's kind of layered in that. We are creative, we are industrious, we are strong, and we will survive, we will thrive. So it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. So does anybody else have anything they would like to add?
I just want to add one last thing. I am getting
Yes.
emotional here. I don't know if anyone else is too. Yesterday, me and my son, we passed out care bags, and each person that we connected with said, "God bless you and happy Easter." And that was when it's very small, but the energy that I picked up from each person was so felt in my heart. And I've just been like, Sunday all day was love all day, and today is starting off with love. And I'm just so thankful. I don't have a partner, but I do have a lot of love in my life. And I'm very thankful for that.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I do believe that the blessings that we get from others that's real, right? When someone gives you that heartfelt blessing, that it has a huge difference. And Martha, I share with you that, being on the journey of being alone but being fulfilled is such a beautiful space, because yesterday I was in this space of, being in my house by myself, and I was so happy. And once you realize that, it's not going to be, it's not another person that will bring you joy, that we can create this joy within ourselves, that I do believe that opens up the real truth behind having a relationship that's joyful, is like, you each have to bring your own joy into this. And when you're talking about the work that you do on a spiritual level, there's a lot of joy that's needed. So draw on our community. If you feel like you need that energy and that support, just draw on all those that because sometimes those that are down and out, they can draw a lot of energy out of you. So,
Stephen, just on that note, isn't it interesting for me? I sorry, I apologize for my horrible voice. But the thing Martha said is they all said, "God bless you." These people are at the end of the line. They're broken. They've hit rock bottom. They're in this pit that we talk about, and yet they still have faith, because they wished Martha. They said, "Thank you and God bless you. Happy Easter." So at the end of the day, if they still can have faith, they can still believe there's something better coming, then to me, that says everything. And Martha, you are an angel. I love you to pieces. But what I'm trying to say is that them saying God bless you back is a way of them telling you they still have faith. They still believe there's a better future, a better time coming. And that's wonderful, isn't it? To still have that when you're at that absolute, what we would call rock bottom, that gives me a great sense of hope. Hope is the word I use. Thank you.
I wanted to just so I read something this last week, and I've been ruminating on it, because I think it's important, and I've been trying to figure out how can we bring this into our life. But it's the phrase that faith, hope, and love, right? But the greatest of these is love. And that's everything that we're talking about right now, right? Those three things, I think, are the things that will carry humanity forward in a good way. Go ahead, Ken.
It's just reflecting on, there's a book by Dan and Chip Heath called The Power of Moments. And it's really interesting. It's kind of a business book, but it's a life book. And they talk about the things that stay with us through our lives are like the peaks, the pits, and the transitions. And there's those high moments, the low moments, and then the bardos, when one thing is passing on and then another thing is about to be birthed. And it just struck me how the approach, especially when you're thinking in terms of your life at the end, and that Taoist tradition of dying well, looking back and knowing that you lived well and you can die well. It's like this paradoxical thing. How do you find a way to find joy in the practice, not knowing when the moments are going to come and go, and how often are you present for those moments when they happen, as opposed to trying to remember when they happened, or having some kind of anxiety over if they're going to happen. So the human condition is rather tricky, trying to balance all of that, and then just remember that the journey is the home, and to have a little fun along the way.
That made me smile. And I know that you mentioned you needed to run at 10 too, Paul. And I'm happy to carry on. Is there any last words you'd like to share with the group, or?
No, I just enjoyed this word, just what Ken was saying. I think a lot of people talk about carpe diem, but if you think about Memento Mori and the fact that we can die any day, there's that carpe punctum, live in the moment. You're talking moment to moment. Carpe punctum, seize the moment, be in the moment, because you don't know if it's your last moment. So, yeah, so the gratitude. Gratitude to you, Stephen, and everybody for being here. I'm in the run, like you say. Thanks for having me, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Paul. Thanks for being here. And does anybody else have anything they'd like to say, or Cassandra,
Stephen, hi.
welcome.
Yeah, I wanted to just thank you for reaching out and inviting me to this room. It's kind of in the middle of my workday, so I missed quite a bit. But what I feel like I wandered into is a place that is so peaceful and so genuine, and just it's a place that you want to plug into as often as possible. And then to see Paulette and Martha here as well makes me know that that's true, because those are two folks that I connected with quite a while ago on LinkedIn, and they're the epitome of goodness. And so this room, that's what I felt when as you guys were talking, even in your diction and how you speak, Paul, Steve, there's so much peace and calm, and in a world that's so full of chaos and running from this thing to the next thing, to just have the opportunity for a moment to stop and be and connect with people who are putting goodness out in the world is a real blessing. So I just wanted to thank you for the invite and the opportunity to share with you guys for a little bit in my hectic day. It's a lot less hectic than it was 10 minutes ago, I tell you.
No, that's lovely. And yeah, thank you for that. I wanted to congratulate you because you just had your book come out. And
Yeah.
so would you mind just sharing a little bit about your book that you just wrote, and some maybe
Oh,
like
sure. Sure. So I released it a week ago. It's available on Amazon. It's called SOAR, and SOAR stands for identifying strengths, overcoming limits, achieving goals, and building a resilient mindset. And the full title of the book is SOAR Beyond Limits, Unleashing the Power Within. And it's about doing the inner work. Somebody just asked me a little while ago for a feature that they're going to do at work, if I have like a personal or professional mantra. And mine is the voice within wins. I believe what we feel about ourselves, what we're capable of, what we feel like we're deserving of, quietly dictates our life more than any external circumstance ever will. No matter who we are, our people, our lineage has overcome so much. And it's because they believe that they deserve better. And when we can grab hold of that belief and that we're capable of better, then we start to align with that belief system. So the opposite is true. As long as we're walking around not feeling good about ourselves, we're creating a space
where we don't have what we deserve. And so I've created this SOAR framework to help us get the clarity we need about what it is that we really desire, to help us meet ourselves and to learn to look in the mirror and love the reflection that's coming back at you, to do that work so that you can get out of your own way and begin to create the life that you were purposed for, because we were all created on purpose for a purpose. We're here for a reason. And I tell my clients all the time, you're the answer to somebody's prayers. If you can look in the mirror and realize that your existence is an answered prayer for somebody else, you see yourself so differently when you realize that. And I believe that that's true of every single person. But most people are not operating from that point of view. We see more what's wrong with us than what is. And I want to change that dynamic and help people find the beauty in just being who they are before they do anything, put on any of the tapestries, just as you are. First thing in the morning, as raw as you can be, you're perfect. And when you can find that perfection, the world is your oyster. You can do anything, but it starts with believing it.
I love that. Thank you for that. And
Absolutely.
I just wanted to, I think Kenneth is unmuted, so we're going to jump to him. But Ken, I wanted to say, I loved what you said about the whole Taoist tradition of, living well and dying well, because, there's a sense of purity and a sense of like job well done. So I'm going to take that forward. And that's going to be one of my mantras.
And just to follow up on that, I think that, and it's also where you get the sense, the really wise people I've been fortunate to work with, there's this commitment to something greater than themselves. And when you reflect back, just the fact that you chose to serve that commitment, it almost doesn't matter how well you did it. You can forgive yourself and have compassion if, that was kind of, you lived your life framed around that, that sense of how can I be of value to some cause or the world around us. So, and I know when my mentor passed, he passed smiling and in pain, but he was a candle that lit candles and understood his light never was lost in that process. It just expanded in an ever outward growing circle. So I think people that embody that, you get that sense, you can feel that peacefulness within them.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful, because if you serve a greater cause, it's no longer about you. It doesn't matter that you're flawed. It doesn't matter that you're weak. It doesn't matter that you're tired. It doesn't matter that you don't want to do it. You'll do it anyways.
Well, and that actually adds more value to it. It's easy to do it when all is well, but when without depleting yourself, but continuing to care for yourself as best you can with that focus of the value you're bringing beyond yourself, how can you be upset if you're not as skillful at it in the moment? So it kind of takes the pressure off. At least for me, it has.
So all of this that I do, everything that I do was born of a single moment, and it was a choice point. And what had happened is someone told me that it was 2 days before a big event that I was doing, and the event was mired in fear because I was afraid of public speaking. So instead of just doing it myself and working through it, I added 2 people and said, okay, I can hide out in between them. A tribe will make it safer. But I still was afraid of speaking. So I added 2 more and then 2 more. Well, I kept adding people because my fear was at that level. I had 25 people speaking with me. We did 31 presentations, and we had a phenomenal week. And what was amazing about it was that I saw this transition, and I became responsible now as a nurturing person. I became responsible for the group. And when someone else came and started attacking the group, I had to shift my dynamic. I had to shift my energy. It could no longer be about me and my fear. We had to do it anyways. And this person withdrew from the group and sent out to the rest of the group 2 days before the event, I cannot be involved in this organization. It'll damage my brand. And it was like a knife in the heart, right? And I expected everyone else. And this was a person that had kind of some business credentials and some things like that. And I just thought everything was going to be torpedoed at that. So I was laying in the bed and I said, you know what? I took like a 2 hours of a little pity party. And I was saying, why am I doing this? Why am I putting so much effort into what I do? And I was ready to quit. And someone had told me, just if you're taking somebody off of the schedule, don't put to be announced, just put a quote there, right? Like it's always meant to be there. And so I got up and I said, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways. If it's just me, I'm going to do 31 presentations. And I walked downstairs and I typed this quote in, and it said, if it's important enough, you'll do it anyways. And I thought, oh, this person's going to think it's about them. And it's not about them. It's about me and about doing it anyway. So I changed the quote to, you're going to hit resistance in life. Find something important enough so that you'll do it anyways. And I took that quote and I took everybody's picture that was in the event and I put their picture on it. I put the quote on it and I sent it to them. And I did that one 25 times. And we did it anyways. And it turned into this beautiful thing that now it's not about me. It's not about our group. It's about we're better together. And I think that we are all better together because we learn, we grow. And that service, saying, okay, this isn't about me, this is about the group, having that shift in consciousness allowed all this to go forward. And I think we're making a difference in the world. I think we're helping people. So anybody have any last words or closing thoughts?
I just wanted to tell Ken how much I appreciate the visual of a candle lighting a candle. And I think I'll take that with me forever because it's such a powerful visual. You see, as a candle giving light, just in and of yourself, you see the value. But then when you turn and you share that light with somebody else, a candle, lighting another candle is such a powerful visual. I think that's something that I hope you don't have it copyrighted because it's stolen, Ken.
No. The truth belongs to everyone.
I love that. I love that. That is
And
so
actually,
good.
it's that if you want to take it a step farther, we use that a lot. Like when I work with like team building, like organizational settings, we talk about when someone is difficult, they're expressing as difficult, think of that as they're just less skillful. So like if they're overbearing, they're trying to be assertive, just they weren't trained. So shine a light on, that's just a shadow of, so all you need to do is shine a light on, hey, you're trying to step into a role where you can be of value. Let me help you practice your communication skills. Let's get better at that. And it's funny because for managers now, instead of being frustrated with the way people are practicing, they're recognizing, oh, there's an opportunity here to grow skill. And we always talk about just turn the light on for them. You don't have to change anything about them, just illuminate. So that helped like kind of expand that paradigm a little bit for a lot of people. So
I love that. I'm speaking to a group of college students this weekend. And it's about personal growth and development. That's such a value add that I can share with them.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that group especially, because they're in that kind of phase of it's very difficult, especially with social media, to not reflect in and judge. So, so it's like letting them be enough and recognizing that they're just in a process, so just focus on the process and that the practice of developing, seeking out good mentors and that kind of thing. And then the rest of the stuff will kind of dissolve. So yeah, I'm speaking to a group of girls on Thursday, similar thing. We'll be talking about this same thing. So that's awesome that you're doing that work with that age group. They need it.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all. And thank you for picking up on this energy, because this is the same thing that people say on Wednesdays is they come because they look forward to it because they feel better. And I do believe that it's an uplifting space. So part of that is authenticity. It's the fact that we're not selling anything. We're just encouraging. We're just talking about deeper topics. And it's something that we feel to be true. I think this is important. Kenneth is the only one that hasn't spoken today. So Kenneth, if you'd like to share something, the floor is yours, my friend. He might be at work. So we're finished up, and thank you all for being here. You've added much. I wish I had the iPhone thing that made the hearts come up. I don't know if you know Jose, but he had it turned on. He had no idea. He was having balloons shoot up and hearts, and he had all sorts of stuff coming up. I think they're funny. If you have an iPhone, if you turn on the emoji thing, when you do the different motions, that it creates an animated effect, and it's kind of fun. All right. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.